Hi there, friends. Welcome to the Dean Blundell Show podcast. My name is Dean. Hello, good morning, welcome. It is a live stream at 9:30-ish in the morning. We did another live stream last night till 11:30 in the morning. Do you know why we do this? Because we can. It's the best part. It's the best part about owning your own stuff. You can do whatever you want. Want to do a podcast at 10 o'clock? Okay. You can do one at 9 o'clock in the morning with the Hockey Dummies? Okay, no problem. Who are the Hockey Dummies? Two beauties that have a podcast called The Hockey Dummies, so it's not just a clever name. And they're here right now. Please welcome them to the Dean Blundell Show podcast, ladies and gentlemen. The Hockey Dummies, Steven and Pats, otherwise known as Chris for some reason. I have no idea fucking why.
Thanks for the intro. Nice to be here.
Boys,
Thanks,
great to see you. As always, the Dean Blundell Show podcast is brought to you by our friends at Owner's Box Fantasy Sports, the premier weekly fantasy sports podcast, or sports platform, rather, all into the podcast. I play, you should play too. We'll get into some fantasy with these boys, some NHL and hockey fantasy in just a couple of minutes. But right now, if you use a promo code, which you can find at deanblundell.com by clicking on the Owner's Box link at the top of the page, $50 free money. Who doesn't like free money? When you deposit up to 50, they give you up to 50. That's the deal. So you put $50 in to gamble and to have a good time and to play some fantasy, specifically NFL fantasy, of which I crushed last week. Crushed everybody. You get a free $50 bill. That's what you do. So you put in 50, you get in 100. That's incredible. Free money. Who's not doing that? Plus, it's the pandemic, so have some fun. Owner's Box Fantasy Sports. Go to ownersbox.com or deanblundell.com right now for your $50 free money ticket. Match deposit. Blue microphones, the greatest microphones on the planet. They are the official microphone of deanblundell.com and the network, which is key. You can see their little logo there. That's why we sound actually like we know what we're doing, thanks to our friends at Blue Microphones. Follow them on Twitter right now and look for a big announcement tomorrow or Friday in regards to how we can make your life with our friends at Blue just a little bit better. Without further ado, please welcome the Hockey Dummies again, Steven and Chris. Sorry, I had to get those in because I love our sponsors. I love doing content, but I love our sponsors, so I apologize.
Very good. Well, and it's funny with Owner's Box. Like, I'm definitely checking that out.
Yeah,
and
you have to.
When we started, we were actually the Fantasy Hockey Dummies, and we cut the fantasy out because we wanted to be, we wanted to dip into a little bit more than just fantasy hockey.
Yeah.
But that's kind of our go-to and our specialty. Like, we actually have a fun little segment when the season comes called Pick 'em Up. And we, every time, like, we talk about the fantasy players who are having great weeks or great months who are not highly owned in most leagues. And every time we talk, and it's called Pick 'em Up, and we'll run the Pick 'em Up line from Dumb and Dumber when they're driving down the street, and
Pick 'em up.
Pick 'em up.
Still the greatest movie. It's one of those movies you see on when you're flipping through your channels, Dumb and Dumber, like you'll go through Stars and stuff like that and Showcase or whatever, and Dumb and Dumber will be on. And I have yet to stumble across that and not watch the entire fucking thing or whatever was left.
It's genius. You can make so much good with that. And
yeah,
it's actually funny you say that about stumbling across last night. Not that it's a funny movie, but still probably in my top 10. Sportsnet had like Field of Dreams on last night.
Another
Yeah, I stopped and watched it.
I watch Field of Dreams now and almost cry every time because I love my dad. And my dad and I have a great relationship and didn't when I was younger. And so, like now when I watch Field of Dreams, I get like I'm getting choked up thinking about it. Dad, you want to have a catch? Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Do you have a catch?
Do you want to have a catch? Dad, want to have a catch? Look at me. I'm almost crying right now. Dad, want to have a catch? That and Rocky 2 when they're in bed and Adrian says, I want you to do something for me. Come here. And he goes, what?
And then
he goes, win, and then ding, ding. And then Mick's like, what are we waiting for? And I'm like, we can't.
That's a good neck. That was a good neck.
What are we waiting for? Anyway, so back to Fantasy Hockey Dummies, which is now Hockey Dummies. You drop the fantasy, but you're big into fantasy. Do you guys do NFL fantasy, or is it just I know you do NHL fantasy because you're hockey guys. You're the Hockey Dummies. Yeah. By the way, at Hockey Dummies on Twitter. And download their podcast right now and subscribe. It's at deanblundell.com or Apple iTunes. It's fucking great. You don't do NFL stuff? And this is the thing, because there's no NHL right now. Owner's Box is like deep in the NFL. And
Right.
when you don't have to know anything about the NFL to get in on a draft. If you just love drafts,
Yeah.
you'll learn after week 1 exactly how to do it, because the process is the same. You swap out guys. Like yesterday morning, I ran downstairs because I found out Tua was starting in week 7, and I'm like, I got to swap Tua out. I got to, and then you look and see the injury report and stuff like the same thing with the NHL. But it's the process which is addictive in a good way, like an addictive, fun way, not like, and you can play for owner's bucks, so you're not even really throwing money away, but you have to get into it. It's like
Yeah, no,
it's
I'll
changed my life, and maybe that's just a bad sign about how fucking boring my life was. But I can't watch another sporting event again without having the owner's box app up and me having 15 different pools. So you got to check it out.
Yeah, no, check it out for sure, man. I remember when the NHL went down, I was in football pools, basketball pools, MLB pools. None of them really stuck. Like when I was in high school, I followed the 4 major sports. I could tell you everything about every baseball player, football player, basketball player, hockey player. And when I went to film school, everything kind of just went out the window. I started taking my studies a little bit more serious because I didn't really in high school, and really, but the only thing that really stuck afterwards was hockey. It's always been like my number one, but still, when it comes to fantasy sports and getting to play with your boys and just kind of have that, that Sunday, like my brother's a huge football guy, so it's always like, come by. I got
ribs.
Everything on the
you
go.
got beer, you got ribs, you might have a bottle of Jack in the middle of the table, and you do a couple of shot skis between the 1 o'clocks and the 4 o'clocks.
Whiskey makes me take my pants off, so
I'm coming over to your house with whiskey.
I can attest to that. It actually does.
Does he really? Is he no good on the brown stuff? No good.
No.
I was known as
witnessed firsthand. Not a good sight.
What happens? Give me a sample. Give me a sample of what happens when Steve Butland downs some brown sauce.
Well,
he literally walks around with his pants off.
Really?
Yeah.
But still tucked around his ankles, so he's doing the penguin.
Oh, okay.
In college, I was known as B with the ball cap because my last name is Butland. All my boys call me B, and I would just walk through the house with just a ball cap hanging off my wiener. So it was never good. So I don't drink that shit anymore, man.
Was it a pro fit or was it a snapback?
It had to be one of the snapbacks, otherwise it wouldn't have stayed on.
Yeah,
make it smaller.
Good old, college times, man. College years. Hey, you got to do it. You got to give it a try.
Yeah, for sure you do. You got to walk around with a hat off your dick all the time, just to see how it goes. Let me ask you about Hockey Dummies. How did it start? Pat, maybe you could help us out because David, just so everybody knows, David Randall, who's a massive fantasy hockey guy, loves your podcast. Same with Darren Millard, who's one of the owners here as well at DeanBlundell.com. Voice of the Vegas Golden Knights. So we came into contact with you guys through their knowledge. So tell us what Hockey Dummies is to the person that hasn't listened to your podcast, and how the whole thing came about, and the sad fact that up until like a few weeks ago, you guys were ready to toss your fucking keys on the table, which I don't like. I don't like quitters, Steve and Pat. I don't.
Talk to that guy down there.
Okay. And what changed? What changed? Like why? Because I'm really happy you guys stuck with it, obviously. But what changed?
I just kept bugging him. I just kept, when do you want to record? When do you want? And it was always, he's like, I can't do it on this day, and we were just kind of going back and forth, and like you said, life gets in the way of stuff, and but I mean, it's a good time. Like when we first started, it was, it would take us 4 or 5 hours to do a podcast because we'd be just figuring out the editing side and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But now it's, we get on Skype, we sit there and we shoot the shit for, 60 or 90 minutes. And Steve's like, all right, boom, we're done. And then everything's good and ready to go. So we're not taking up as much time either. Right. We would sit there on a Sunday afternoon and the whole day was gone just trying to do a podcast.
How do you explain the podcast? How do you explain the podcast to people who haven't heard it before?
I don't know. It's basically just me and Steve sitting around and talking shit to each other with some fantasy hockey, with some prospects.
Like if you guys could say, listen, this is exactly what if a typical podcast at the Hockey Dummies is like this. Like I know you dip into fantasy, but and I know Steven is way into prospects and scouting. But like, what do you guys talk about? Give me a sample, because if you were to sell this to someone, because right now there's a bunch of people watching, if you were to sell this to someone, how would you sell it?
Well, here I'll kind of dip in a little bit more into like the history, how we got started and whatnot as well, and why we and what we're doing. So the actual podcast is each week. We're doing bi-weekly podcasts right now, and what Pats and I do is we text every day. We're always texting. Whenever I'm watching shit on TV or checking out articles, I'm always keeping a tab of like, oh, that's good to talk about. Like,
Right.
you know, like the whole letter to the Blackhawks this week. So I've written that down for the next podcast. So it's like we're keeping tabs of things that we're going to talk about. And you know, we're keeping shit on tabs in our hockey pool and what the boys are saying, what's happening. And basically what I do is I write a script pretty much about a day or two before we're going to record. And the script generally includes like our NHL headlines.
Mhm.
NHL headlines, basically everything that's gone on between the beginning, since the last podcast to the time that we're going to record. So we go over anything that we think is cool and interesting. And within that, we also do a little Leaf blurb. So like, because, you know, we're Leaf homers. We live in Ontario, just outside of Toronto. So we always have our Leaf talk going on. So we have our NHL headlines and we focus in on some more obscure Leaf shit.
Mhm.
From there, we dip into when the season's happening, is when we do our fantasy portion. So we're talking about who's hot and who's not. And and that's when we get into our segment called Pick 'em Up. We get a lot of, that was kind of like a Pick 'em Up is where we talk about players who are either underperforming that are highly owned, or players who are performing very well but aren't owned as much. So we kind of dip into who you should pick up and maybe who's having a shit week. That one we call Buzz. Who's your Buzz, your girlfriend? And when he picks it up, he's like, woof. So we throw that woof in. So if somebody's having a fucking great, really, really like 80% owned, but he's having a shit week and he's a -20, yeah, he gets a woof.
He gets the old woof from Buzz from Home Alone.
Yeah, Buzz, who's your girlfriend?
Woof.
Woof.
Um,
So
sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up.
And then after we get into the fantasy, we like to do our prospect report. We like to talk about what's happening around the CHL, the NCAA, and if we hear any rumblings coming out of Europe. And then we kind of wrap it up. So it's mainly like NHL headlines, our fantasy segment, and then our prospect report. And that's what you're going to get from us.
It's a great podcast. The guys from the Hockey Dummies join us. You talked about the Leafs and being a homer. Please welcome also to the podcast, possibly the greatest homer in the history of homers. One of my favorite hockey fans on the planet. He's my favorite hockey fan on the planet. Duane from Buffalo. Duane Steinell joins us as well on the podcast. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Hey buddy.
How's it going? You guys hearing me clearly? Or?
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
absolutely.
good.
All right, good.
Absolutely.
I
I'd like you to meet Steven and Pats from the Hockey Dummies podcast. Duane, say hi to the boys.
What's up, Duane?
Hey guys, sorry I tuned out when you started telling me that you talk about the Leafs on your podcast. So
No,
I stopped,
Hey, we
I
talk
stopped-
about the Sabres too.
yeah.
I stopped giving a shit right then and there.
I wanted to add Duane for some levity and also for some anger, because if you follow Duane at D Steinell 39, is that correct on Twitter? D Steinell 39.
It's at Duane S39 Duane S39 or at 2 goalies 1 Mike at the number 2 goalies the number 1 and then Mike MIC. Little playoff 2 girls 1 cup.
I like it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Duane he works with Dominic Hasek's foundation. He's a great guy. He's one of my good friends, and he's a great fucking podcaster. But he's also the biggest Homer Sabres fan. And watching Duane, and I wanted to get your thoughts. Watching Duane during free agency, what's the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life? It was watching guys leave Buffalo, not get signed in Buffalo. They didn't sign, and all of a sudden, and Duane, you were fucking livid for like 4 days, wearing your jersey, doing these live streams, screaming about how fucking shitty the Pagulas are, and all of a sudden, one day, they signed Taylor Hall to a fucking 1 year, $8 million contract, and Duane Steinell, his entire mood changed. It was like, we're winning the fucking cup.
Listen, before we dip too deep into it,
Yeah.
I'm actually formerly with Hashik's Heroes. They did just recently let me go, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, for their own reasons, which I won't get into. But you know, with that being said, yeah, man, you know, there's still no love lost between me and the Pagula family. That's for sure. Just, you know, signing Taylor Hall isn't going to repair or mend all the wounds that have already been existing now for a better part of a decade.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I was losing my shit. You know, on the Two Goalies One Mic podcast, we had you know, Andre Torini from the head coach of the Ottawa 67s on with us pre-draft, and we talked a lot about Marco Rossi, and then we talked about Jack Quinn too, and how excited he was about the potential of Jack Quinn being in the NHL someday, and what he brings to the table, his goal scoring ability on the wing. But I was on the Marco Rossi, and I was on that hill for over a month, wanting him in a Sabres uniform because I really believed he'd be there. And not only was he there, but Cole Perfetti was there. You passed up on both of them, and you drafted Jack Quinn. I was losing my fucking mind there for about 48 hours. Toned down, came back down to earth. Said, you know what, it's not that bad. Jack Quinn does have a ton of potential. You know, I talked in length with Andre about him. So it's not that bad. You know, whatever. You know, let him develop in Ottawa again for another season under Torini. Guy has an impeccable resume as far as coaching goes in juniors, in the World Juniors, and not to mention, you know, here in the NHL between Colorado and Ottawa. So you know what, you know, if there's a guy that's going to develop him, you know, I trust Torini to get him to where he needs to be to make the jump to the NHL level. Then they go and re-sign Zemgus Girgensons to almost $2.5 million a year contract, and I fucking lost it because it's like, what has Zemgus Girgensons' career high point total is like 25 goddamn points? Why are we signing him? It's a flat cap. Like I don't understand it. Like the cap isn't going up. Next year it might go down, and we're bringing back Zemgus Girgensons. Like holy shit! Signing Tage Thompson to a $1.75 million contract. Like you know, all this money being spent on guys that have sucked since they've gotten here for how many years? I think Girgensons is going to his 7th or 8th year. Like, why are we bringing these guys back? Like, we're bringing back the same damn losers that have been losing here for almost a decade. and you know, I guess I wrap my head around the Girgensson signing, and then we sign a bunch of $700,000 bums. You know, it's a one-way deal. They had two-way deals, one-way deals. So you have to pay him $700,000 no matter what. You know, got Reeder. You know, penalty kill extraordinaire. That was a big time fucking signing. Holy shit. That'll get us out of the fucking basement of the East.
That's my issue with Buffalo, is the bottom.
And then
bottom six.
And then I you know, I've been on the Taylor Hall. I was always been indifferent about him. He's come from a lot of losing cultures. You know, he hasn't won anywhere he's played, but he has produced no matter what. He has that connection with Kruger, but I was indifferent about it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put all my eggs in the Taylor Hall basket because this is a deep free agency class. You know, you have Mike Hoffman out there, Tyler Toffoli, Dandanoff, a lot of good, you know, scoring wingers and centermen that could bring a lot to the table, and plus some really, you know, key defensemen out there. You know, even after Pietrangelo, between TJ Brody, Barry, and you know, a couple other Torrey Krug. I was excited, and then you know the Taylor news all comes down, and I just take my pants off and I start dancing on Niagara Street out in front of my fucking house because no longer do I care about the losing culture of fucking Taylor Hall. He's a fucking Buffalo Sabre. He's wearing blue and gold next year. Who gives a shit? So, you know, it's been a whirlwind. You know, I feel like a chick on her period right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's go.
Wow.
Well, you know what? The Sabres have a lot to be excited about. Like we did a blog on this on deanblundell.com about if you think the Sabres are a playoff team or not. Like their top 6 is legit. Their top 6 is really good. It's the bottom 6 that I worry about. Like you say, bringing in Girgensons. I like that he plays a heavy game, but 2.5 for a guy that could play on the 4th line isn't great. No. And you know the rest of the bottom 6, it depends if like can Middlestat get his shit together. Is Cousins going to be?
No, probably not.
Does Cousins play next year? You know, like that's a big that drops guys down, and then all of a sudden you got Cousins with Okposo and Girgensons as your 3rd line. I guess like that it could be a lot worse. But like if Cousins doesn't come in, that bottom 6 is still really thin, and then you know for me, it's does Rasmus Dahlin. I think he takes a bit. I'm a huge fan, big fan, BBF of Rasmus Dahlin. So
You're BBF of Rasmus Dahlin? Who,
BBF,
by the
yeah.
way, I saw a picture of him shirtless this summer. Not that I
Oh
scour
my
the
God.
internet for shirtless dudes,
Ivan Drago.
but dude is
He's on some
jacked.
fucking Ivan Drago shit.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
will play you the fuck out. Like he will put you on your ass, and then he'll sauce it up the ice and send somebody on a breakaway. Like he's nasty, and it's like so he was averaging about 19 minutes of ice. That's got to go up, for Buffalo. And
Yeah.
obviously he was a 19-year-old, so it's like that's still a lot for him. I think he was second just behind Ristolainen for time of ice, but that's got to go up, and they got to ride their two horses because the 3 through 6 on the defense stink. Their bottom 6 stinks. Their 3 through 4 on the defense stink, and their goaltending stinks. You know what I mean? So that's the hard part. Like, they need something.
One of the more productive lines out of Buffalo after last year, after the first line of obviously it was Jack, Sam, and Olofsson, was actually our fourth line of last year. Obviously now Larson is with the I believe Arizona. It was Larson. We called it the log line. Larson, Okposo, and Gergensen. We still have 2 of those pieces intact now. I don't see Gergensen playing off that line. I see him staying down on the fourth line with Okposo and Lazar. Lazar definitely showed a lot and earned a spot on this team. Casey Middlesack can sit on it, honestly, because as of the end of July, that kid didn't look like, as far as his, one of his last Instagram pictures from the end of July, doesn't look like he's put on a pound of muscle at all. You look at Rasmus Dahlin, who apparently has been working out with Ivan Drago all summer and put on 20, 25 pounds of muscle. You see the disparity there and the commitment level to want to be successful. I don't understand it because, Casey Middlestat gets bumped off pucks easier than anybody on this team. You think you would, start getting in the gym and start committing yourself more. I mean, unless since the end of July he has done that, I don't know. I don't know the guy. Hopefully he has. Hopefully the Sabres have been on top of that. But if you're an 8th overall pick and you're not putting in the work off the ice, you know what? You can get the fuck out of my city for all I care. Trade them. I don't give a shit. I want guys that want to play. I want guys that want to win. I don't need Casey Middlestat if he's going to come in 180 pounds soaking wet still. I don't care for it. I'm sorry. I don't care how good your hands are. I don't care how good you are in the shootout. It doesn't matter when you can't consistently show up every night. He's too small. Another thing too is, and again, all these bottom 6 signings, like I don't know what to think of it, man. I really hope that somehow we can finagle another signing here. I know I've been very high on Anthony Duclair as being in your bottom 6. If you can bring in a guy, I think he can be found on a short term, very cheap deal. And I look at another guy like Travis Hamonic, who's still out there, surprisingly to me, who I think can bring a lot of stability to your blue line if you bring him in. Those are my top 2, honestly. I guess I'm going to make a top 3 Eric Hall in there too. I think these guys are just waiting for arbitration to end, just to see comparables and see where they fit into everything. And that's another thing too. We have 3 key pieces going to arbitration in Olofsson, Reinhart, and Ullmark. We still don't have a legitimate backup. We still have Carter Hutton. I don't know what to think, man. Our top 6 for the first time, this team in a while has 4 legitimate centers. With exciting. And we have 2 very dangerous top 6.
Yeah, no, Buffalo. Listen, from Buffalo to Toronto, the way that they've handled the offseason is different. I want to talk about Toronto real quick because Duane hates Toronto, and you guys love Toronto. What do we make of? And I'll start with you guys, Chris or Pats. I'll start with you, and then we'll make our way around. What do you make of the Thornton signing? Obviously, he's old. He can still get you 40 points, 30 points. He was actually pretty good last year, and he's really wants a cup. And he came to Toronto. So.
Here, Yager's still out there. If you guys are really looking for him.
Yes.
Yager still wants to play.
And then the Steve Simmons signing, like the way that Toronto has been able to convince guys to take way less money to come here, and try and get something done. Even the Mikheyev signing, they signed Ilya Mikheyev yesterday. To a 2-year, I think it was like 1.65 per year.
1.64, yeah.
1.1 this year and then 2.19 next year or something. Anyway, they are somehow managing, like the management is somehow being able to convince a lot of the different players to be able to come here for less if they want to come here. Yes, some of them are older. But the one thing that needs to be addressed, which you guys actually, the guys from Hockey Dummies, Pats and Steven put out an article this week, a post about how the core four is really, or three, Matthews, Nylander, and Marner specifically pissed off every single teammate of theirs because they didn't take the bubble seriously, playing video games, hanging out. And it was a funny little article that you guys wrote because it was, the person was supposed to go unnamed that said, quote, the Leafs will never win a cup with those three guys. They're just too immature. And you didn't give the person any credit who said it, but it apparently was Kyle Clifford. So that's my understanding. And so talk about the signings as they may have addressed the culture, because, you know, as every single Leaf fan is sitting here, we don't understand what's going on behind closed doors. And apparently there was some fucking heat on that team between some of the veterans and guys that were taking it seriously and some of the guys that weren't.
Yeah, I'll jump in there quick, Chris. But like, yeah, like we're not here to name names or
I am just so you know, I'm here to name names. Yeah.
It's on Dean.
and from my understanding, it wasn't every player, but this was coming from one direct player. And yeah, that you know, that this player was there because they wanted to win. Like people in the NHL, they want to go and they want to win the cup. When people win the cup and they talk about their childhood dream, they're not fucking lying. And if you have guys in the room who don't give a shit, they're happy with their $11+ million. They just want to get to their phones and they want to party and treat the bubble like they're on vacation. I would be so fucking pissed off. I'm pissed off as a Leaf fan hearing that this is out there. You know what I mean? Like, these are our best players. Your best.
I'm not pissed.
I know you're not.
I'm not pissed.
I am, right? But yeah, like, I don't know, Pats, if you want to talk to the Jumbo Joe or the Mikheyev. I like the Mikheyev deal. I like both deals, to be honest.
I don't think. Hold it, just a sec before you get in there, Pats. I watch people on Twitter like in disbelief, because one of the things that not a lot of people understand. Everybody focuses on Joe Thornton's age, right? But they don't understand the hockey culture in the actual fucking room stinks. You've got a bunch of young kids, as you've pointed out, that run for their phones and set up dinners and drinks with their friends after. Like, that's more important to them. But signing a guy like Joe Thornton, specifically for $700,000 fucking dollars, I don't think people understand how huge that is for this team. Chris, Pats.
No, I love that. I love the Joe Thornton signing. He basically replaces what they brought in Marlowe to do, who couldn't get it done for whatever reason. I don't know if he had too much fun with Matthews and Marner or what the deal was there, but I think bringing in a guy like Joe Thornton and like Wayne Simmons, even Bogosian, like that'll really like knock the shit out of these guys in the dressing room. Mm-hmm. Like even in practice, like everything. Like you can't, I don't know, like yeah, like Steve said, you know, guys making $11+ million, like sure, here's your nice paycheck, but fuck man, show a little bit of passion, a little bit of heart. Mm-hmm. You know, like you want to win. There's other guys that are making league minimum that want to win more than these guys, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, like a guy like Joe Thornton, basically, he's going to be your daddy. Like that's basically what it's going to be, right?
Duane, I saw you laughing about Bogosian. What's your thought on Bogosian?
Yeah, the whole time Steinel's sitting there laughing his ass off.
If he's your sixth defenseman and he's playing 10 minutes a night, then you're okay.
Dude, he played 16. He played 16 minutes a night for the Stanley Cup champions. 16 minutes.
And
you know what?
That's fantastic. He was also a healthy scratch quite a few times too. You know, with that being said,
I blame that on the Buffalo Sabres organization.
Yeah, I do too.
Listen,
I blame everything on the Buffalo Sabres organization. I blame the Pagulas for fucking up Zach Bogosian.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Blame the Pagulas. This is like, you know, Leafs fans criticizing Sabres fans is like oatmeal yelling at fucking toast at the breakfast table. I swear to God, it makes no sense to me. Somebody tweeted that out and it made perfect sense. It's just like two of the most dullest, like meager breakfast, like breakfast meals, just bitching at each other.
Yeah.
What I do love about Bogosian though, is that he's
terrible.
He's fucking mean. He's mean. And that's what Toronto needs. They need somebody who's gonna fucking put the cross check right in everybody's lower back anytime they're any 5 feet around the net. And I see him go in the corners. I watch every Leaf game. And I used to watch him play against the Sabres, and I used to see him fucking pound on the Leafs forwards as they came into his corner and in front of the net. And I was like, I wanted him 2 years ago. And I'm glad that we have him now. Yeah, he's 2 years older, and I know he's not the fleetest of foot. But what we need, like, I wanted Radko Gudas to sign in Toronto. I think, Bogosian isn't as good. I'd rather have Gudas, but you know what? For the money, for the $1 million, and the fact that he can be our sixth defenseman, and he is going to hurt people, that's what Toronto needs.
He's going to hurt people.
Well,
he's going to hurt himself more, I think.
No.
You got a guy. Listen, you got a guy in Zach Bogosian who, for the majority of his career here in Buffalo, he was on the IR. He couldn't stay healthy. And it's taken a toll on his body. I will never speak ill will of Zach Bogosian, the person, because he's done a ton for this community with his foundation, the Bogo Bunch. Unbelievable human being. But that being said, it left a bad taste in my mouth how he left out the trade request, all that bullshit, after the Sabres sat there and gave that guy so many chances, kept him on this team, kept him in the lineup. Granted, his contract kind of sucked. But, when he gets behind in the play, his not just his age, but the injury history really shows up. The guy has terrible boots. He's glass. So if you want to get the most out of Zach Bogosian, you really need to keep him on maybe a second penalty kill unit and a guy who's maybe playing 10, 11 minutes a night, because you can't overuse him because he's an absolute glass. You just read the injury reports, man. The amount of times that guy's been injured in his tenure here in Buffalo. And it sucks too, because there was so much potential there for him to be so much better. But you can't be very productive when you're constantly in and out of the lineup because you're hurt.
Yep, no, for sure.
One of the, by the way, welcome Duane Steinell, Pat's Steven from the Hockey Dummies, Duane from Two Goalies, One Mic podcast, and of course, DeanBlundell.com. And one of our co-founders and owners, who's also a fantasy freak, David Randall, has joined the discussion here. David, welcome to the program. Really appreciate you being here. David and I I want everybody to know something, because we're deep into fantasy now. And I used to make fun of fantasy, like just because of the name, the same reason why I never watched Game of Thrones. Dragons, not real, not for me, right? And so,
you mean you don't play Lair in your
that Choose Your Own Adventure video game? No, remember that one, Dragon Lair or Dragon Slayer? Yeah. No, and we sit here and we talk about players, and I've never, now that I'm into fantasy and I do football fantasy, specifically with Owner's Box Fantasy Sports, I'm fucking way into the hockey fantasy. And I've realized that guys that are in hockey fantasy know every stat about every single player. So just by default, guys that do hockey fantasy are smarter than guys that don't. So I had to capitulate and say, I'm going to get into it. And now I'm one of those guys that just does draft after draft after draft just for the pop, just for the excitement. And so David actually is a member of one of these drafts that's been happening for how long? 20 years? Drafts have been going on?
Yeah, 96 I think it was when I joined.
So 1996, and this draft is full of guys that are like, degenerate gamblers, window installers, IT guys, but they've been doing it for like closing in on 30 years, which is great. No, sorry, David. It's true. Daniel Negron, who's in it. The guy's the greatest poker player of all time. He's a gambler.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that. Yeah, in a good way. Degens. I like Degens. Don't worry about it. So, in my estimation, with fantasy, is that losers don't just play fantasy. It's for winners too. Is that correct?
I love, Dean, that you've been. How long have you been a fantasy nerd now? A whole is it 6 days? Was it?
No, it's like 2 weeks. I got into fantasy
2 weeks.
ago,
Okay,
and now
2
I
weeks.
can't help myself. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
I had to call in. Yeah, I had to call in. I was worried that the nerds were getting outnumbered, okay, by the crazies there south of the border there. I was very worried. Duane, I'm glad you stopped talking for a second, got some oxygen there. You were on quite a roll there. I was a bit nervous for you. I'm glad you stopped the car and just, rolled the window down, took a breath. That's good. Steve and Chris, I had to come on in defense of the nerds, revenge of the nerds here. We can talk about the AHL, the Alternative Hockey League sometime. We can do it now if you want. Daniel's pool. It's been around for 20 years. It's the greatest alternative hocky fantasy league in the world. We all know that. We all admit that. I don't want to put down your
Just
pool
so you
there,
guys
your
know,
leagues.
hold it. Just so you guys know,
Hey.
they had like 30 people fly in from around the world, and they
Yeah,
hole up
that's
in this condo building like boardroom. Fly
I've
in,
never
and they
seen-
make a weekend out of it. Dave flew
Yeah.
over from. He's in Ireland, Dublin, Ireland right now. He flew over from fucking Dublin, Ireland for the draft.
Top of the morning to you.
Yeah. Hey, Timmy.
Yeah, so I remember. Oh, this is hilarious. Dean came and he did a live broadcast at the draft last year, and I've never seen Dean scared before. But I thought when he walked into that room, the nerd quotient, the level of nerdiness in that room, I think scared even Dean actually. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, once a year we all converge. Down around Scarberry area there, all the owners fly in for our yearly free agent and
Owners like
prospect.
it's the board of governors or something.
Hey,
It's
look,
fucking
man.
serious.
Hey, don't be slacking. Look, the whole point of fantasy is to simulate the real world as much as possible. That's what fantasy. That's
Right.
why they have dragons in Game of Thrones, Dean. You know this, right? It's to simulate the real world.
It's not real.
And we fly all in, and we hold. We have a 20-man farm team, so we have 5 rounds of prospect drafts. Then we have the free agent draft. You have a salary per team. You sign the players to multi-year contracts. It's as close as we can to the real thing, to being a real GM as we can, and that's why we're proud of the league. So
That's
it's
awesome.
the best.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I would totally nerd out on shit like that.
Oh, dude.
Alternative Hockey League, alternativehockeyleague.com. You can go see there. My team is the Swackers. I won the lottery this year, so I get to pick first overall. So Alexis Lafreniere will be a Swacker next year. Very excited about that. I have the 5th overall pick. Not sure who I'm going to take yet. Still debating that. Got to wait and see what happens in the real NHL draft and that. So make some decisions there. So
Dude, does everybody that play Steinel? Do you do fantasy? Do you do fantasy hockey?
Just fantasy football. I'm not, I've done other fantasy leagues before, but I'm already so ingrained with hockey that I just can't, wrap my head around doing fantasy hockey on top of everything else with the podcast and working 60 hours a week. I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, listen, I don't blame you. And most of me wants to say I don't want to do it. Like most of me wants to say, listen, I can't do this. I can't do anything that has the word fantasy in it. Right. It just is weird. If they'd named it something else, I would have been doing this a long time ago. If they named it something else like reality or something, here's your reality pool. But the way that they do it now, like with Owner's Box, you got to fucking check it out because it's all self-contained. You just pick guys and it does everything for you. So you can create your own leagues. You can do everything, which is super fucking fun because you can do it with 1-on-1, 2-on-2. You can just do a head-to-head on one night, draft a bunch of guys for a bunch of NFL games, and then you go throughout the week. But one of the things about fantasy, which is fascinating to me, are the people in it. And when I went to Dave's AHL draft, and I don't know if you guys get together in big rooms with big drafts. Prior to the pandemic, everybody was doing that, right? But it's fascinating to watch grown ass men argue over who gets to pick what 19-year-old guy.
Yeah, Yeah, some of the some of the comments that we have in our room are really, really off center.
Yeah.
I don't even want to bring them up. That's how off center they are. But yeah, it is jokes, and like there's also a lot of raunchy, inappropriate things said about going out to check out young boys at the hockey rinks. So it's all in fun. Everybody's joking around, but it's a part of, I think, just part of the culture of fantasy sports and about morons getting together. Like we have 20 guys in our league and all like professionals. We have a lot of people that work in the media industry, people all across Canada and the US. And it gets very inappropriate real quick in there. And people that I've actually been in meetings with for like high-end television production meetings, I see them in that platform, and then I see them in the platform of calling people ass bags and pieces of shit because you sent them an offer that they don't think is worth even an offer. And it's just, it's like the little kid comes out in everybody. It's great.
Yeah.
Remember I told you the story, Dean, at the AHL. Daniel knows everybody, and someone, when we go to our draft and someone throws out a player, half of the time it'll get to Daniel whether he wants to decide to bid on the player or let it go, and he'll take out his phone and he'll text or do something like this, and he'll go pass. And the one year he did it, I told you the story, was he got someone threw out Matt Sundin's name. He was available in the free agent draft, and he gets around to Danny and he says,
"You guys have been doing this for a long time, eh, Sundin?
He's not going to play. Is he not? He gets on his phone,
That's
and he called Matt Sundin on the phone and asked him, "Are you coming back to Toronto this year? Are you going to play this year?" And yeah. And he hangs the phone. He goes, "I pass." So he called him up on the phone. No one knew if he was coming back. He calls him up on the phone and says, "No, I'll pass. That's okay." So that's
awesome.
We're more at that level than the old teenage boys in hockey ring sort of level there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But no, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
it's crazy watching guys do it, and getting into it is wholly different. This is the DeanBlundellShow.com podcast, or whatever you want to fucking call it. Brought to you by Blue Microphones and our friends over at Owner's Box Weekly Fantasy. Duane Steinel from Two Goalies, One Mike joins us, as well as the guys from the Hockey Dummies, which is a podcast available at DeanBlundell.com. It's very, very, very good. It's heavy on fantasy, heavy on Leafs, heavy on sports, but funny. And that's the part that I wanted to talk about next, which is I watch these guys. Funny things are funny to me. I see stupidity in binary. I say that now to people, right? So the Hockey Dummies put out a post talking about how the Leafs will never win a Stanley Cup with these three guys because they play video games, and didn't say anything about Kyle Clifford was the one that said it. I was the one that said it, just so you know. It was Kyle Clifford. Anyway, bottom line is they put this article out, and for the next 48 hours, you had, I was part of or tagged on because my name was associated with it, right? You put @ it's Dean Blundell in the actual tweet when you put it out, and you wrote the story from DeanBlundell.com, which you can go check it out. It's actually really funny. And it was, I was involved in this thread for 48 hours between Habs fans and Leaf fans. And I'm not kidding you. And Duane, you'll love this because you're based in reality. Other than, geeking out as much as you did over Taylor Hall. But you'll love this. It was 48 hours, 2 solid days of Leaf fans and Habs fans in a race to find out which team of losers was less of a loser than the other team of losers. It was like, oh yeah, but our top 6 are better than your top 6, and we have one more defenseman that's better than one of your defense.
It's fucking great. I got into so many arguments about Carey Price. It's so funny. Like the defense that people will come to Carey Price in that contract just cracks me up. The fact that they just traded away Max Domi, a very good young center, to bring a often injured Josh Anderson, you're still paying Carey Price. I think he made $15 million last season. That was his cap hit, $15 million. And just that team's gonna suck for a long time, in my opinion, because of that contract. It just I can't. As much as I dislike Leafs, I don't hate Leafs fans. I hate the Leafs. Mm-hmm. I don't hate Habs. I do, however, hate Habs fans because they're the fucking worst.
Okay, so who's the worst? Who's the worst? Habs psychos, Habs psycho fans, or Leaf psycho fans? Let's go around the table. David?
That's a tough call.
Like the most disgusting, egregious, dumbest fans, and like angriest
fans. We didn't burn
fans.
our city down.
That's true. Vancouver, Montreal, you're in that group, right? No, yeah, but I because like just completely stupid, useless knowledge as a fan, and won't shut the fuck up, and is militant and tells people how it is, even though they don't know. I'm gonna have to say, I don't know. I think it's the Leaf fans. Yeah, like you can hate Habs fans all you want. Leaf fans are the fucking worst. Like Leaf psychos, not fans, people that love the team. I mean psychos, guys that have the fucking tattoo on the back of their calf and have a Domi bumper sticker still on the back of their Chevrolet, Z24.
Chevy Impala.
Chevy Impala. Guys that have guys that still wear their Sundin shirts to family barbecues. Guys that loved Tommy Fitzgerald when he was here. Stuff like that. or guys that are like, I'm a big Aki Berg fan. Like there is no one better to Leaf outfit than Aki Berg, and they'll fucking, and here's the thing, they'll ruin. This is the difference between Leaf fans and everybody else. Leaf fans will ruin relationships with family members over their take on hockey.
Yeah.
They don't give two fucks, and I love that about them. I dig that about them because they're crazy ass bastards. And the great part is you can actually literally whip them all up. Like Sabres fans have been beat up for so long, and it's been so shitty. They're like, whatever. We get it. We're in on the joke. Like Steinel totally gets it. It's like, fuck, well, I'm in on the joke now. Leaf fans perpetually think every year's their year, and they have been for 57 years. And that is the kind of shit that I love. I dig that.
Not all of us, though. Not all of us, Dean. It's the thing with that is that it's because of it's like Canada and the U.S. There's so many more people in the United States than there are in Canada. That, you know, the United States end up probably doing a lot more dumb shit, and they have that bad reputation, or they have this or that. With the Leaf fans, there's so many more Leaf fans than there are Sabres fans or Jets fans.
Are you trying to ratio this, Steven?
Yeah, I'm ratioing.
No, you
shit.
can't. You can't ratio.
No, I'm ratioing it.
No, you can't, because it's just about overall behavior. And if we take the worst overall behavior from any fan base in the NHL, it's got to be the Leafs. It has to be, because of their sense of entitlement and their bullshit. What's that?
Not all Leaf fans.
No, I'm not saying all Leaf fans. I'm like, listen, if you take the worst of every fan base, the Leaf fans are number one every year.
Right, but we have like 100,000 more morons to choose from.
Oh, yeah, I know, but that doesn't matter. The psychosis that's involved in being a Leaf fan is my jam. Like, I love, and being here and being a fan of the team and wanting the team to do well because it would be good for business, great for us, good for clicks, all that other stuff. I don't even care about it. I think it's even better for clicks every time they lose in the fucking first round. And I'm not upset by, I know that people live and die by, I don't live and die by a Leaf loss. I think it's just part of the overall narrative of how fucking funny this franchise is in year after year. That's the great part.
I think it's hilarious how they can find the negative in everything. You watch what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If the Leafs, if they ever win the cup, you know what's going to happen? They're going to parade this cup around, and then some crazy psycho Leaf fans are going to come out and go, you know what I think is disrespectful? I think they should have handed the cup to like Zittler first, or Five first, or Toto. Why weren't they there to hold the cup first? Hey, we're here. We won this because of those guys. It's because of them. It's not because of you, punk, you PS5 punks. Someone's going to be pissed off that they weren't there at the parade getting to hold the cup up like everybody else, you know?
It'll be if they magically did win the cup. Seriously, this is why I think Leaf fans are the worst. They wouldn't revel in the cup and say, listen, shackles are off, you know, the curse has been broken. We're just so happy to have won a cup. It wouldn't be like that. It would be, oh yeah, that's fucking great, but now what about next year? Window's probably closing.
And you guys are already talking about winning cups over here, man. It's gonna be a real disappointment when you miss the playoffs. You missed the playoffs this year. And the Islanders win the Stanley Cup before you guys. That's fantastic.
That's gonna happen too.
I can't remember the last time I had a Buffalo Sabre on my fantasy hockey team. Like, what's the point? Why would you bother?
Never once.
Yeah, you know what? I just got Olofsson in mind, and that's it. That's all I'm doing.
No, pass.
Pass. Yeah,
Islanders.
Fuck Jack Eichel, you know.
I don't think anybody
$1
said
million bucks. We got a cap.
Yeah.
fuck Darlene.
Yeah. Well, Darlene wasn't great in his rookie year. Listen, he gained 25 pounds, and your team's still shit.
Maybe Ristolainen. I had Ristolainen on the team, but I had to trade for him.
Hold on,
it was my tanking year. It was my tanking year. I was trying to go for the lottery pick. I was trying to tank. It was an obvious choice. I was trying to tank.
You lose all credibility for fantasy hockey because you just told me you had Rasmus Ristolainen on your. Oh, done.
That's what you do in a tanking year when you're trying to rebuild and tank.
You're muted.
Dude,
Butland has him on his team too.
Here's
these guys off.
Yeah, here's a pro tip. Here's a pro tip for fantasy hockey. If you're going to play this year with our friends at Owners Box and Duane, Steinel, and David, they're going to team up now because they're fucking fast friends. I love it. But if you want to lose every fantasy thing and you want to, as you point out, tank for the number one overall pick, there's only two teams you should be focusing on. One of them, no offense, Duane, is in Buffalo. Listen, I love you. But I wouldn't put a Buffalo Sabre outside of Jack Eichel on my fantasy team if you fucking paid me to. Number one. Number two, The other team,
Rasmus Dahlin's gonna have 60 points this season, so
you don't know
I
that.
agree with that.
You don't
I
know
think
that.
so.
Well,
I mean, he was on pace. He was on pace for well over 40 before COVID,
yeah.
and that was when he weighed 20 pounds less.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm excited to see the progress there too. But listen. Let's not get carried away with like which team sucks less. Like that's a Habs Leaf thing. I don't want to do it with the Habs and the Buffalo Sabres too. Hey guys, let's argue over which team sucks just a little bit less than the other team for 2 fucking days. That's what happened in that thread. It was 48 hours. I would wake up and see 100 different comments from 5 different Leaf and Sabre and Canadians fans. No word of a lie about their. Like it was a fucking full-on Donnybrook on Twitter about the last 2 defensemen on each team and who wins that argument.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's the difference. That's the difference between, I guess, between Sabres fans and Leafs fans. We know we suck. We don't try and defend. We don't try to argue against it.
Right.
We know we suck. Leafs fans, though, they'll die on that hill. That we're just as good as that, but we're just as good as them.
No,
get
we're
past
not.
the first round and then come talk.
Yeah, exactly. Pats, Steven.
Actually, get past the playing round and we'll talk.
That's true.
It was a nice break from all that.
Make
trending
it
you
to
were
the
doing.
play-in round and we'll talk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, I
Hey,
listen.
but I know we suck, so it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah, I don't. Again, Pats, we're gonna have to work on our chirping skills because when a team that hasn't been out of the first round in 100 years doesn't qualify for the Stanley Cup playoffs is making.
I think it's
fun
only
of,
been 14 years.
whatever. It's making fun of the team.
This is like
is making
this is
fun
like
of the
watching-
team that
this is
didn't
like-
qualify for the qualifying round.
Yeah.
It's like 2 amputees pointing at each other as to which guy can pick up stuff the slowest.
Or it's like watching it's like watching the picking round of dodgeball, and you're down
Yeah.
to the last 2 players, and they're fighting over who's the best. You suck. No, you suck. No, you suck.
Wait, no,
Jesus,
you suck.
I don't
suck.
want to take him. I don't want to take him. Well, Jesus.
They got Blazer, Taser, all sorts of Tasers.
Guys, listen, I appreciate you doing this, and I love the fact that we got to the bottom of the worst fan base in the league being the Leafs. I actually might even be a Buffalo guy this year, just for Duane. I might put everything in on the fucking Sabres and Taylor Hall, and he's going to sign a long-term extension. Listen, there's a reason he only signed for a year, but I happen to think Buffalo's on the rebound. I want to see a Sabres team that's competitive this year. That's what I really and not because I love the Sabres. I don't give a fuck about the team, but I love Duane Steinell's passion so much. I want to see good things happen to Duane. It's like when you see someone who's had a rough go and all of a sudden good things happen for them. No one's worn their heart on their sleeve more than Duane Steinell. Nobody. And to want good things for good people is a good thing to feel. So the other side of that is you get to watch the Leafs play hockey this year, and if they fail, it'll be like orgasmic.
Well, the Leafs are going to be in the Canadian series, right? They're going to be the Canadian club, so they're just going to play out Canadian teams, so they should be okay, right? Because all the rest of the Canadian teams suck, don't they?
No.
has that been confirmed?
I think Vancouver will give you a run for your money.
Yeah,
Do you
Vancouver's
think?
a good team.
Do you remember?
Edmonton will be a good team.
Foley
Calgary,
in
I think, is a
Vegas.
good team.
Remember he was interviewed there, and he was asked about playing in Vancouver. He says, we won't be playing against them. They're going to be in the Canadian League, so we won't be playing against them very much. He spilled it. I don't think he meant to do that, but
Hold it. What do you mean?
know,
Because of the pandemic, when everything
Yeah, he was
returns,
asked
they're thinking of
about
doing
that.
Canada versus the USA, like only the teams.
I think it
in
was
the US play?
when they traded Schmidt up to Vancouver, right? And he was asked about that. He says, "Aren't you worried about playing against them so often now, being in the West?" He says, "We won't be seeing him. They're going to be playing in the Canadian League, so we're not going to be playing against them because of the pandemic and all that." So
there has been talk about a 17 Canadian division season.
to
So
I
stop
didn't know
all
that.
the-
When was that? When did that get discussed? That's
like
awesome.
said, Foley
That's
Foley
for-
was being interviewed and he spilled it like that. He mentions Canadian League or something like that, and everyone, I know Elliot Freeman tripped onto that, and he was saying, "Oh, did you hear him say that?" All right, so maybe he knew something none of us had been announced yet, or something like that, and that there's going to be a Canadian series or league or
there's
something,
talk
division.
Yeah, I think they're running every option through, and that there is a chance that. Like my thing is though is that okay? So there's a Canadian division, great, but does that mean that we only play those same 6 teams, like the Leafs would only play the 6 other Canadian teams.
Oh yeah, just be like the old days, eh? When you didn't used to win the Stanley Cup.
How many cups do you have?
It does.
Hey,
Listen,
hey,
you
at
can't
At
do
least-
that.
At least,
This guy, eh?
first off, at least when we do win one, goalies won't have 50-pound goalie pads and getting scored on from the opposite blue line.
Oh, it's just never ending here. Hey, Dean,
Gotta win one.
Dean, I have to ask.
Yeah.
Well, while we have the dummies here. So dummies, at Dean Blundell, we have a resident psychic once in a while that comes on with Dean once in a while, right? Did you know how, Dean, the dummies back in on episode 6, you guys had Kathy the psychic. Come on, you're gonna have Kathy back on to see how the Leafs are gonna do this year. And while I have you here, how did you manage to get a girl to talk to you guys?
I know.
In person
how'd you
too,
manage to
right?
do- in person, she was live in studio with you guys.
Yeah, they must be giving her free weed.
She invited us to her house.
Yeah.
We went right to
Give
her
us a
house.
daughter. No,
I love it. The first thing he says is, "One thing, you're hot, Kathy, but how are the Leafs going to do this year?"
Hey, anytime I can throw a compliment to a lady, I'm gonna throw that in. I'm
Hey,
a big fan.
dude, are you okay with complimenting women on social media? Because I'm not. I'm not right now.
compliment
Right,
every-
that's how you get trending, apparently, isn't
Yes,
it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, Kathy's great. I've actually already reached out to her. I let her know that we want to have her back in. She said that she's in. And then I said, I let her know that we're a part of DeanBlundell.com now. And she got all blushy. And she was just like, oh, man, like now I really got to bring it. I was like, fuck, so you didn't bring it last time?
Well, she missed on half of the shit she said.
Dude,
Although, hey, she
dude.
did say New Jersey would pick first overall that year.
Oh, did she really?
She said that.
Is she a
Yeah,
sports
she
psychic?
picked- I was like, no way.
Because my psychic is like, she doesn't like doing sports. She just sees colors. I'm like, who's going to win the Stanley Cup? She's like, orange. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't understand what that means.
Definitely not blue and gold.
No.
No,
Hey, whoa.
Oh, sing.
she's not a
that was a good singer. Sorry about your loss.
Just a quick aside.
Sorry about your playing loss there, eh?
Yeah,
Sorry, boys.
I know, I love it.
No way, take
Dude,
off, eh?
you're not upsetting me, Duane. I love every time that you sewer the Leaf fans. It's like it's like energy for me. You're fucking big dick energy for me. I love it.
Hey, we never lost to a Zamboni driver, so.
Oh, just-
Already lose me.
It's thick.
It's
David
true.
Ayers,
It's true.
David Ayers' jersey's on the way in the mail today.
He was our practice goalie. He knew everything. He had a fucking scouting.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that night was written by the gods. That was like one of the greatest stories. Sarah
That
was
was
on
one of the greatest nights of my life.
Oh, dude, me too, for a million reasons. Just watching the Leafs eat it and the Zamboni driver feed it to him, who actually worked for the team, and his wife, who works with us, her name's Sarah Ayers, watching her melt down, and then to see now Disney's going to be doing a movie about his entire life. James Corden bought the rights to their life story, so they're working with James Corden on a Disney movie because God just faded it that night. Like, listen, as embarrassing as that was for the Leafs, that was just one of those incredible. Like, Duane, can you imagine? Can you imagine? You love hockey. You're a goalie. Your podcast, Two Goalies, One Mic, is about goaltenders. You interview goalies. Can you imagine being in KeyBank Arena one night or whatever the fuck they call it now, and you're an e-bug, dude, for the Sabres. You're an e-bug.
Yeah.
I get the call.
And you
And
get the call.
shoulder tap.
And you go in, but it's not the Sabres you got to go in for, bro. You got to go in for the other guys. And you play your tits off.
And
you win.
The Sabres lose. Well, first off, my house will get burned down. They'd find out where I live. My house would get burned the fuck down. Secondly, I gladly go in there, and who doesn't want to live their dream? That's
Exactly.
everybody's. That's why you play to begin with. That's your dream. Man, the only way I would refuse, I would absolutely refuse if it was me going in there for Toronto. I'd tell them no.
Would you really? If the Leafs, if you
I
were the
don't know.
e-bug, honest to God,
no.
let me ask you a
Oh, no.
question. All the shit that you've said about the Leafs, all the terribleness, all the awfulness,
tell
the
them no.
hatred, and the Leafs go, we need you, Duane. We need you to go and backstop us to a win.
I
we
tell them to
need
sit on a
pair-
bike with no seat.
and we're going to pay you $750. That's what e-bugs goalie get. That's what you get. And you get a chance to play in the fucking NHL, and you're going to say no because it's the Leafs?
Nope.
That's awesome.
Because of the Leafs. Wholeheartedly, I mean that too. I mean that with all my heart. There's no way you will ever get that fucking stupid ass jersey on my body. Nope.
Okay, let's redo this conversation. I'm Kyle Dubas. I come into the e-bug room. You're getting ready to go. Okay, you ready? Hey, Duane. Listen. Our backup goalie Jack Campbell just went out. Freddie's gone, and we need you. And can you get dressed, please?
No.
Okay, please, can you get dressed? We really need.
Not happening.
Duane, please. I know you're a Sabres fan, but and you work.
It has nothing to do with Sabres fan. I hate the Leafs more than I love the Sabres.
I know, but you work for the NHL in your role as an e-bug goalie. We really need you to go in. Would you rather quit?
I'll go drive the Zamboni at Holiday Twin Rinks. Then I don't care.
Hey, that's hatred. When you don't want to live your fucking life dream because you hate the team so much, that's pure sports hatred.
I probably wouldn't play goal for the Habs.
No, I wouldn't either.
When we get back to Sarah Ayers, she's kind of a babe, yeah?
Hey, Dean, she works for you? Sarah works.
She works with us, yeah, but she's taking a break because they're doing a movie about her life, so takes precedent.
Wow, you fucking muffin, man. You have a guy that has a goalie centric podcast. You never thought maybe to reach out to Sarah Ayers, see if her husband wants to come on the pod. Come on, the fuck is that?
Do you want him on the pod? I don't think he does podcasts.
Oh my god! Oh, are you kidding me? Absolutely. You know how much fun I'm going to have with that show? Oh, my God. I'll break listening records for Two Goalies One Mic with that show. Absolutely.
Well, fucking why didn't you ask?
Steve Dangle agreed to come on with us hopefully soon. And I can't wait for that because that's going to be absolutely electric because we're going to try and figure out which one of us is louder.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I like Steve Dangle. I don't watch his stuff because it's gives me anxiety.
Yeah, me too.
The night you guys lost to David Ayers, I paraded around my house on Twitter Live, losing my fucking mind, dude. I was outside doing laps. But that video that Steve put on his YouTube channel was absolute dynamite. He's an absolute wagon. That was so fucking funny when he literally looked in the camera. I was like, "You lost to a Zamboni driver. That works for you." That literally, I fucking pissed myself watching that video.
James Corden isn't going to play David, is he?
I asked Sarah, and she said no because they have different body types.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. He wouldn't have to put equipment on. He'd be as big as a goalie there. He doesn't even need it. There
no. And I'm not a big James Corden fan. I'm not a big James Corden fan. I think the world could use a whole bunch less James Corden, to be honest with you. It's like every time I turn on my TV, there's James Corden selling coffee or making you get a Visa card or doing carpool karaoke. Yeah. So, but the story itself, as it's been written, is all about Dave, and Dave's story is incredible. Not just David and Sarah; they're such a fucking great couple too. They actually really like each other and found each other post a different relationship.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking really cool. They support each other. She's like his biggest fan. He's an even bigger fan of hers because she's such a weapon and a great hockey mind and supportive and kind and loving and all those things that you want to have in a friend and a best friend and a partner. I hear. It doesn't work for me, but whatever. So knowing what the story is going to be, which is, David Ayers needed a kidney transplant to save his life a number of years ago. David Ayers won that game with one kidney. He is a kidney transplant recipient. And he's not on social media. He goes to work every day. The very next day after winning that game, and this will tell you all you need to know about the Ayers family and the story. The very next day after beating his employer, the Toronto Maple Leafs, in this fucking magical evening, a 43-year-old Zamboni driver is back on the ice the next morning, drove home, which is 2 hours away, back on the ice the next morning at 8 a.m. doing shoot-around practice with the team, just being a goalie, being a backstop. That doesn't happen anywhere, right? If that's me, I'm king shit on Turd Island after that. I'm walking into the nicest restaurants, demanding big steaks, telling guys that make suits, I want you to make me a nice suit for free. I would turn into a massive asshole. I just would. Not David Ayers.
You just laid your thunder.
Go ahead.
You just laid your thundercock down on the fucking Maple Leafs, dude. You're walking around swinging a huge hog between your legs. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was the biggest swinging dick in the cracker factory that night. And you know what he did? He just went to work the next day. That's all he did.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him a fucking great story. And the movie's going to be incredible too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, listen, I'll let you go. Good to end on a positive note. Duane Steinel at dsteinel39. Is that correct? Am I getting that right?
At Duane S39. DUANES39.
Sorry, buddy. And Two Goalies, One Mic, the
And at
podcast.
Two Goalies, one mic.
Go check it out. Hey, listen, dude, thanks for joining us this morning and taking some time. You definitely fucking injected a little hockey semen into the conversation. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Dean, guys. Thank you. And anybody who wants to follow along with us here in Buffalo, like I said,
Yeah.
Dean, gave you the handles there.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do want to follow. Don't give him stink face. I like Duane. Duane's my friend. Yeah. No, listen, there is no bigger. Duane, I'm going to get you and a couple other guys to start a new podcast called Only Fans.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
And it's just.
I'm gonna start
Dean's
my own.
already
I'm
taken.
gonna start. I'm gonna start my own OnlyFans account, regardless. Seeing how much money these broads are making.
Can you believe
So
how?
I don't care.
Dude, it's not just chicks. It's not just women making money on OnlyFans. Like dudes are
Oh, I
posting
know.
pictures of their wieners on there, making like $10,000 a month.
You want to see my wiener? $5. Let's go. $5. I'm cheap.
No, the dummies
Hey.
are the experts at wieners, apparently, aren't you guys?
Yeah, you guys are.
Pay for-
That'd be Steve.
Pay for my gas for a week. We're good. Let's go.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, Duane. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. You guys
Thank
are
you.
absolute wagons.
Thanks, buddy. Duane Steinel, ladies and gentlemen, who's one of the kings. Yeah, you guys are wiener centric on the Hockey Guys podcast, and I
Yeah,
like
we
that.
do.
I happen to think like we're moved away from wiener talk, and I made a lot of money for a long period of time talking about wieners, and
Well,
I
we,
think we
we
can bring
grew
it
up
back.
listening to you. We grew up listening to you. Where do you think we got? I knew it was okay because Dean was doing it on the radio. You know, like you used to make me laugh my ass off. So the truth is like a part of our sense of humor has come from the culture that we grew up in, and you were a part of that culture here in Ontario.
That's nice to hear, isn't it?
So basically, it's your fault that we talk about wieners.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. The Hockey Dummies podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Please go download it. The Hockey Dummies at Hockey Dummies on Twitter. Go to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your fine podcasts and download. These guys are fucking weapons, and it's really awesome that we got a chance to get together and talk this morning, guys. Thank you very, very much. Pat, you're real quiet, so I'm going to see if we can't bring you out of your shell in the next podcast. That's okay.
I'm just listening along and listening to all the comments and the fighting back and forth.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
best.
yeah, Pat's is kind of the asshole, and I'm the asshole that encourages the asshole. You know?
Anything fantasy related, anything hockey related, and if you want to actually listen to two guys talk about puck that don't take themselves seriously, which is like a fucking big. It's hard to find in this city, right? It's hard to find in Canada are hockey guys that want to talk hockey that aren't doing it just to be the most important fucking voice in the room.
Right. Well, hey, look, our name is Hockey Dummies. We know what we are. We know that we're just a couple of dudes talking about hockey. We know our stuff. You know, we live and breathe
Some
it.
of our stuff.
Well, most of our stuff. I do. He doesn't. But, I keep him up to speed. That's why I write the scripts and inform him, send him over, make sure that he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
When are you guys dropping your next podcast?
We're going to be recording it a week from today.
Mhm.
And so it'll be, Pat's is saying that we should be dropping them on Mondays. So it looks like potentially a week from next Monday.
Do you guys want some digital assassin information? The best days to put out a podcast: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, not so much. Saturday, Sunday is like Death Valley. We do it anyway because I don't give two fucks. But just because we're on a bunch of different platforms and we can get that stuff out there and it'll last forever, right? But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it is one of my favorite new hockey podcasts. It's one of my favorite new podcasts, followed by Dave Randall, Darren Millard, and a whole bunch of fucking important hockey people. And I'm not one of those people. Listen, I'm all about authenticity. And I can sit here and tell you I can compete with you guys in a hockey conversation. There's no way I can, and I don't really fucking care to. That's why I surround myself with people that are smarter than me, right? So I appreciate you guys being here and being part of DeanBlundell.com. And please go check it out. Watch for their stuff. Go and read their very inflammatory post on Nylander, Matthews, and Marner too. It's a great one.
Well, we're glad you enjoyed it, and we're just happy to be here with you. And give a shout out to Millard for us too. We're a big fan of his.
Awesome. Thanks for doing this, guys. Really appreciate it. Steven, Chris, or Pats from the Hockey Dummies podcast. We'll talk to you guys next week, hopefully. There you go. Pats.
Perfect. Thanks, Dean.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
David Randall, one of the co-owners and founders, DeanBlundell.com. Buddy, thanks for doing this. I'm sorry it took me like 3 years to get into fantasy. Apologies, but I'm there, so fucking relax.
So we're there. Now we can take part. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate you doing this,
Good.
pal. Where can we find you on Twitter?
At DavidRandall.com.
There you go.
At
Pretty easy
David
stuff.
Randall. At Twitter.com
All right, buddy.
on Twitter. Yeah, man. Or posts on the site, Watch me on the site.
Watch on the site. He's a big Star Wars wiener, too. He loves the Star Wars. Thanks for doing this, buddy. I appreciate it.
Okay. Talk to you soon, pal.
All right, there you go. David Randall, the guys from Hockey Dummies, Duane Steinel from Two Goalies, One Cup. I love how he had to explain to us it was a take on Two Girls, One Cup, too. Like we didn't know it was the best. He's in Buffalo, but listen, I love him to death. He's still American. Thanks to everybody for joining us on the podcast today, the Hockey Dummies. Go and download their podcast now. It's at Hockey Dummies on Twitter. Fun stuff if you're into fantasy and hockey and just fucking trying to make your life work. That's what I love about these guys. Authenticity rules. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Thanks to our sponsors as well. Blue Microphones, best microphone on the planet. We use them. You should too. The official microphone of DeanBlundell.com, the DeanBlundell.com podcast network, now up to 23 different podcasts. Check us out in the podcast section at DeanBlundell.com. Our friends over at Owner's Box Fantasy Sports. You're stupid if you don't do it. I was stupid for a long time. I stayed away from fantasy because of a name. Don't do it. Get right into it. Put that spike of fantasy in your veins, kids. There's nothing better. Owner's Box Fantasy Sports is the premier fantasy platform. It does football, baseball, hockey. You can do 6 teams. You can do 16 teams, 8-4. You can do leagues on your own. You can do leagues for your friends. You can take care of your fantasy pool, and they'll take care of everything for you. It's all algorithmic. These guys are the smartest people on the planet, and it's weekly fantasy sports. Owner's Box Weekly Fantasy Sports. Go to DeanBlundell.com for a $50 match deposit right now, and you're going to have some fun. Ed at Ed's Fine Imports. I went there yesterday. I said, Ed, give me a whole bunch of masks because I know you're selling masks. He sells masks, and he'll embroider them for you. So if you got a business, he'll embroider or screen anything and send it to you. How about this little job? This is nice, huh? I still don't know what end is up with these. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the bottom. I don't know, but he's got these masks from 7 Downey Street. You want flat black? That's what I do. Everything's black. My shirts, my fucking masks, everything. Do you want to look like your mouth is just dropped a whole bunch of acid? You can do one of these, edsfineimports.com. He'll send them to you. We've also got, there's another black one. We've also got, he's got masks, edsfineimports.com. Check him out and make an order. You can email him there. This is where it's all about, though. This is Ed's Gitch. It's his own branded underwear. He owns the name. I tried to buy the name before he did, but he bought it because he's smart. These boxer briefs are the best. Not only when you take them out are they hermetically sealed so you know no one wore them. It's really important. They also got a pouch in the front. This pouch is like a tree fort for your nuts, literally. There's nothing worse than uncomfortable underwear for men and women, right? And listen, I can't speak to women's underwear on a technical perspective, but I can speak for men. See this little pouch? Look at that. Your gear goes in the front. The gear in the front, and then it's got this super soft, I don't know if it's like Lycra, but I wish every piece of clothing was made out of this. So get Ed's Gitch, promo code Gitch3. He's got red, black, he's got blue. There's the black again. And Gitch3 is your promo code. He'll send you 4 pairs for the price of 3 when you use that promo code as well. edsfineimports.com. Masks, Gitch, clothing for men and boys. He's got everything. Thanks to everybody for joining us on the podcast this morning. Don't forget you can sign up for our newsletter at DeanBlundell.com. Have a wonderful day. And we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Maybe not. I think tomorrow. I have to check the schedule. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll see you soon. Bye.